Welcome to Proven and Probable, where we focus on metals, mining, and more. I'm your host, Maurice Jackson. Today, we will highlight a world-class upstream oil and gas company. I'm speaking of JERICHO Oil. Joining us today is Brian Williamson. He is the CEO of JERICHO Oil. Mr. Williamson, welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks, Maurice. Thanks for having me.
Sir, glad to have you back on our show. I'd like to begin our discussion today at the 10,000 foot level and discuss the difference between big oil versus craft oil.
So most of the folks in the world that look at oil and gas have heard of all the large majors out there, your Exxons, your Exxon Mobils, your Gulf Oils, your Anadarkos, and most of the big ones around the world. What they haven't heard about are the smaller players who are focused on specific regions, specific areas like us, where they know one play, one opportunity, and they drive trend, technology, and development in some of the best plays in the world. It's just that they focus on that play, that opportunity, just like JERICHO does.
Now, how does JERICHO Oil fit into the narrative of craft oil and the value proposition it presents to the market?
So we believe the value is all about understanding and delivering best-in-class results in a particular opportunity, in a particular play. And in our world, the ability to find oil gets harder and harder every year. So what you want is to be aligned with a team that knows an asset, knows a region, and knows how to develop the hydrocarbons in that area. And at JERICHO, that's exactly what we built. A team geared around developing the stack, a team that understands, lives, and has breathed Oklahoma oil and gas development for the last 40 years. So to us, that local knowledge, that rock knowledge, that geology knowledge, that development experience translates very, very well into success over successful development program. But for JERICHO, where the value started was almost on day one in the downturn. It was our ability to take that very deep technical knowledge that we get as being a craft oil company and executing on it by buying what we believe to be world-class assets in our region that we understand and what we believe to be discounts to what would be their normal market value. And now how you would see us fitting into it is the migration or the transition from the buying opportunity that existed for 2.5 years to now the development opportunity that exists. So it's using those very specific, very focused technical skills to take from an acquisition standpoint to a development standpoint, this particular region, this particular play with this particular team. And you're starting to see that as we've moved into higher prices in 2018. We've begun executing on that with the Wardroom well, which was our first, and now our second well being the Sword Spear, and then we will move on down the line.
You know, you referenced the use of optionality, and that was one of the virtues that attracted me to JERICHO Oil. We discussed plays here briefly. Just for someone new to the JERICHO Oil story, please share the name of the plays that you have in Oklahoma.
Sure. So the most well-known play that we focus on in Oklahoma is the stack play. And it's all about our opportunity to extract hydrocarbons from a known basin in a known field. So the Anadarko Basin has been around for maybe 100 years, and it was developed vertically. And the field was deemed drained in the 90s, where there was really not much left to do with it. Along comes the development of horizontal drilling, and lo and behold, field after old oil field are now seeing development opportunities transcend generations that were thought that were done, and now you're seeing it in the Anadarko Basin and the stack particularly. And so for us, that is our focus. That is our largest play in the portfolio, and it continues to grow and be an area of what we think to be great opportunity and getting better and better each day. More and more is known about it. We have two other plays in the portfolio, no less in quality, but they're all in the same region. And so the other is considered a maize play, and the third is a Woodford play. And those are all sort of source rocks that are well known to the region, been there, been developed vertically in various different time periods over history. But to us, they all have consistent themes: high upside, low entry cost, and strong barriers to entry due to the HBP land position we control in each one.
Catch us up to speed since our last interview. You have updates on a joint venture and an acquisition.
So by no means, as a small oil company, do we believe that we have all the answers to how best to develop the stack. And so we thought best to partner and do a couple of joint ventures with other deep experienced teams that we have a lot of respect for, and vice versa, on a couple of our flanks, one being our western flank and the other being our northern flank. In each one of those, we had a very specific target in mind. On the western flank, the joint venture there was focused on understanding the development of the Merrimack, which is the shale portion of the stack play. The other joint venture, which was our northern joint venture, was focused on the development of the lower Osage, which dominates our portfolio. So we have, round numbers, 700 feet of lower Osage rock that is pervasive from our eastern to our western flank of our now 17,000, 16,000 acres in the play. So the first joint venture was all about developing the Merrimack, which was the Wardroom well, and that has turned out to be an outstanding well. So far, so good. 950 BOEs a day was its peak IP. 30-day was 750, and 60-day moving average has been over 450. So right on line with our type curve. Came in under cost from a drilling perspective. So everything about the Merrimack and the Wardroom has been real positive for us on our western acreage. So pretty excited about that. The Sword Spear drilled exactly as we thought it would be. Frac went as we thought it would go. And because it's lower Osage, the flowback takes longer. You tend to see, peak, or you tend to see production somewhere after the first 30 days of flowback, post 10% of recovery, and then you'll see peak 30 days somewhere after day 60, probably around 75 to 100. So being a small craft oil company, we need to be a little more patient because we don't have 8 rigs running, and so that our wells tend to deliver results not in as quick a batches as you would get from just sort of a major or a very large independent. So, we're very well by well focused. We will, continue down the path of doing, high science with each well so that we have more and more understanding of the acreage. But we are very excited to see the results of the Sword Spear. We think it's going to take another, 30 to 60 days. That's our guess at this point, but everything we've seen so far indicates that will be a very positive experience for us. The next set of opportunities will be probably not too dissimilar to the last with the Sword Spear. It's just a question of where will the next location be.
So to confirm here, the targets met and or exceeded expectations. Is that correct, sir?
So far they did, Maurice. That's correct.
And just remind listeners here on this acquisition here, we basically doubled our acreage package. Is that correct?
We did. So we are opportunistic, and we've been that way since the beginning. That is not new for us.
Switching gears, Brian, what is the next unanswered question for Jericho Oil? When can we expect an answer? And what determines success?
So I think the next unanswered question for us is that, capital and continued development. So we will look for to bring on 2 more wells before year end, and then to move to a full field development program. So the question will be, how do we grow post that? And I think we'll have an answer to that, as we get closer to the end of the third quarter for us.
Now, if plan A fails, what is plan B?
So I think plan A is the stack. Plan B would be to move the capital in, and in some extent we already do this, but to move more capital into developing one of the two formations in the stack, and then adding one of our second assets into the mix. To us, the stack has a lot of value, and we think it may take a little bit to figure it out. Drilling wells is a science, but it's also an art. And we've seen nothing that suggests that the stack can't be all that we think it can be in terms of the opportunity. It just may take a little bit of time to figure it out, Maurice.
Mr. Williamson, what keeps you up at night that we don't know about?
Volatility. So we continue to see, massive movements almost on a daily basis in the price of hydrocarbons, particularly oil. And it seems to be that everyone is trying to read the tea leaves and guess where prices are going. What you'll see is that the market would tell you that it has very little confidence in long-term oil prices, which is disappointing to us because we believe that there is not a lot of places to go right now where you're going to find significantly accretive oil producing formations around the world. And we are believers that the best locations in the known plays have been or will be all drilled out in the next 12 to 18 months. So you will be drilling B and C and D locations, which to ascribe the same consistent results to would be inappropriate. So to us, we see the idea of backwardation in the prices as something that's a concern because it shows the market has no long-term belief in oil prices and at this level. And we just think that that's completely inappropriate in what we're seeing in the field at the field level.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here as a shareholder. With lower oil prices, does that mean an opportunity to acquire more land?
It takes more than that, Maurice, unfortunately, because landowners are now conditioned for a higher price environment again. You tend to get, that same mentality from $100 oil to these quick run-ups. They jump right up in terms of price. So you need to be patient in how you approach the landowners, because if there's a mass rush, they're very sophisticated when it comes to selling their minerals, and they will be immediately looking to achieve a higher bonus in their sale.
Last question. What did I forget to ask?
So I think for us, the question that that people forget to ask is that what makes you guys so interesting and the stack so interesting to you? And I think one of the things that gets lost is that each stack well delivers at $60 oil, $3.5 million of PV10 value to our company. So if you look at that and say, well, how many locations do you have? We have 200 locations, right? So if you look at that and model that out, you're looking at $700 million of PV10 value. Now, obviously, that's post-drilling those wells, and we have to drill those wells, but that's the upside that's Jericho, right? And it's not so easy to see because as a small oil company, we've only done a handful of things in the play. But that $700 million of PV10 value is the upside that exists in Jericho right now.
Brian, we want to thank you for coming on the show today. Before you leave, for someone listening that wants to get more information regarding Jericho Oil, please share the contact details.
Yeah, thanks, Maurice, and thanks for having me. So Jericho Oil is traded on the TSX Venture under the symbol JCO and over-the-counter under the symbol JROOF. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to Adam or Beener. Adam can be reached at 604-343-4534, or you can email at investorrelations@jerichooil.com.
And last but not least, please visit our website, www.provenandprobable.com, where we interview the most respected names in the natural resource space. You may reach us at contact@provenandprobable.com. And as a reminder for our listeners, we want to share that Jericho Oil is a sponsor of Proven and Probable, and that we're proud shareholders of Jericho Oil for the virtues conveyed in today's message. Brian Williamson of Jericho Oil, thank you for joining us today on Proven and probable.
Thanks so much for your time. Thanks, Maurice.
Thank you for joining us today on Proven and Probable. Remember to like and subscribe for more conversations with the most respected names in the natural resource space. Check out our website at www.provenandprobable.com. The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.